This is Jojo Part 5, Episode 3 and 4. So let's get into it really. So in episode 3, Giovanni meets with the what's it called? The organization's recruiter, Populo, and he's kind of in a maximum security prison, so he goes to visit. So when he goes to visit, he has to do a whole security check before he gets in, really. And then when he enters his prison, we meet the guy. Populo, Populo has an interesting design. He doesn't look human really. It looks like a massive head. Kind of reminds me of Mordok from the Marvel series. He just looks like a massive head in yellow. So I don't know what the heck he is really. He doesn't look human at all. He looks kind of freaky really. So so the task that Giordano is given. What's his name? Giorno Giovanna. That's his name. Keep keep mixing up really. So the task he's given a lighter, and he has to keep it lit for 24 hours. So the first task he has to face is to smuggle the lighter out of the prison. So this is kind of hard, and then it's kind of hard, I guess. So the way he does it is he turns it into a flower in his hand when they're checking him, which is really clutch actually, because he does that at the last minute, and then he converts it back into the flame. The comment to make is whenever he uses his stand to turn inanimate objects into those, whenever it gives life to an object, I love the little sound effect it makes when it reverts as well. I think it sounds really good. So in order to keep the lighter safe, he's always focusing on the lighter, and he has a little shaky start when the wind almost blows it out, which was kind of like funny, and it's really delicate. So he doesn't really have an issue with keeping the lighter safe. As soon as he gets to his room, at that point I thought he had it in the bag. So I just assumed he would just sit in his room all day and watch the lighter. But then like the first problem occurs when Koichi he somehow finds out where Giovanna is living, and then because Giovanna doesn't want to have any conflict, he kind of hides away, and he's like looking out the window like, why is like how the heck is Koichi in my room? And then he somehow manages to hide it from Koichi, and then Koichi just gets his passport and leaves, so it doesn't really bother him anymore. So then Giovanna's outside again, but then this is when the real drama happens, because this old man kind of makes Giovanna to the lighter lose his light really. So the problem now is the light has been turned off, and then the old man just really lights it. But at this rate, Giovanna has already failed the task because he's meant to keep it lit for 24 hours. So I don't know how he's gonna go around to. So he's kind of already failed. But then the plot twist right now is he just really relights it again. So I thought, oh, maybe he can't find out. And then a stand appears. And then the surprising thing about the stand is it actually has an arrow which grants people stand users. So just from that stand appearing with the arrow, I kind of understand the whole mission the whole purpose of the task. So the whole purpose of the task, in my opinion, or what I think it is basically you are given this impossible task, which he kind of thinks you're gonna fail. Like you have a high percentage to fail because it's nearly impossible to do. And then the whole point of the actual task is to create stand users. So he kind of expects you to fail, and he wants his stand to stab you with the arrow to make you a stand user. So when you come back, you are a stand user, and if you don't, that means you're not worthy to join the gang really. And unluckily for this old man, he just doesn't have the ability to be a stand user, and he just dies. And then the stand also attacks Giordano, and the episode kind of ends here really. So in episode 4, it continues from where it left off, and and the stand tries to attack Giordano as well. But then what happens is Giordano is in the sunlight, and then the stand is in the shadow. So, and then we figure out that the stand can only move around in the shadow. And then Koichi joins into the fray really, because Koichi has witnessed the whole thing, and he thinks Giordano is still a trash guy because he stole his stuff. So he assumes that he killed the old man. But then but then after the misunderstanding is cleared, so what happens? Giordano and then Koichi team up to try beat the stand, and then they try to escape through the sunlight, but then the stand actually follows them through the shadow of a crow, which is pretty cool. But then Giordano he does this sick thing where he turns the whole tree and he withers it away, causing the stand to be out in the shadow, and he kind of pummels it with his stand. You know, the classic muda muda. I quite like how he says muda muda, just like Dio. That was pretty unique, pretty sweet, I guess. So then after that, the stand vanishes, but because it's a remote control stand, we also get an explanation of the remote control stand, which I'd never understood in first place, but we get a better explanation. So a remote control stand is like, it can't do much, but it just follows simple commands, and it's automatic, and the user doesn't really know of what it's doing. So what I assume from this stand is whoever relights the lighter gets gets um gets hunted by the stand until it's pierced it with the arrow. So the way to defeat the stand is so the way to defeat the stand is to they get it out in the open, and then they remove all the shadows so it can't move, and they just pummel it. And that's what Giordano does. He does it quite smartly as well, actually. Quite like the way he does it as well. So then after he beats the stand, he kind of goes back into prison, and and then in the prison he gives back the lighter, and then Popolo has no idea of the whole fight that has happened, so he was unaware of what happened, which was just not surprising because it's a remote control stand. And then you see in this scene Popolo like this, and then like Giovanna kind of does something with the stand when Popolo's not looking, and then when he leaves, Popolo gives him a pin to officially join the gangster organization. So that means Giovanna is actually now like an official gangster. And then when he's leaving, we also learn about Giovanna, like noble cause again. Kind of shows he's actually a good guy. So Popolo has this whole talk about trust and like messing with someone. He has like a rule where he doesn't really fight if someone doesn't do something, but he will retaliate and he's risk his own life. He'll kill someone if they cross him or like cross with their beliefs, something like that. I forgot, but so what I like is he uses Poplar's own words against him, and then he doesn't do it, man. The way and then like Poplar, because he kind of noticed that he's always eating, so what he does is he switches one of the guns that was just out with a and he turns it into a banana. So then when Popolo eats the banana, he ends up shooting himself. Just I was like, Giovanna did him dirty, but in a sense, Giovanna thinks he's deserved that because he killed the old man, which kind of shows that he isn't like a noble cause. But when he did that, I was like, damn, that was like badass, really. But I just I was thoroughly impressed with that scene. You know, it's such a nice sequence as well. So now that Giovanna is an official member of the organization, he meets up with Bujarati and he meets up with the rest of the group. I think we're gonna get an introduction to the rest of the people I've seen in the opening. Looking forward to that now. So yeah, this was episode 3 and 4 review. So far, so far so good actually. I'm still looking forward to more and more. I wonder how long this anime is gonna be. Is it 12 or 24? I really hope it's a 24 because that just means more JoJo. Well, that was it for my review.